Money follows identity, and this single spiritual truth explains why so many people work hard, pray daily, think positively at times, yet still remain stuck in financial struggle. Because according to Florence Scovel Shinn's timeless wisdom, life does not respond to what you want, need, wish for, or even deserve. Life responds to who you believe you are, what you silently accept as your true self, and the inner image you carry about your worth, power, and place in the universe, because identity is the spiritual mold, and money is merely the substance that flows into it. And if the mold is small, cracked, fearful, or rooted in lack, no amount of external effort can permanently fill it. While if the mold is expanded, aligned, and rooted in divine abundance, money arrives naturally, often effortlessly, and sometimes miraculously, because money is not something you chase, money is something that follows alignment. Florence Scovel Shinn repeatedly taught that man's word is his wand and his assumptions are his destiny, meaning whatever you consistently assume about yourself becomes law. And if your identity says, I am someone who struggles, I am unlucky with money, money is hard to get, or people like me don't become wealthy, then money obeys that command without question, because the universe does not judge your beliefs, it simply executes them. And this is why two people can do the same job, have the same skills, live in the same city, yet experience completely different financial realities, because one identifies as a receiver of good, and the other identifies as a struggler. One sees money as a natural extension of their divine inheritance, while the other sees it as something distant, difficult, or undeserved. And identity is always formed silently through years of repetition, emotional experiences, family programming, cultural beliefs, and unconscious self-talk, which means many people are not poor because of a lack of intelligence or effort, but because their identity has been trained to expect less, accept less, and settle for less. And Florence Scovel Shinn explained that man's subconscious mind accepts whatever he feels to be true, not what he merely says once or twice. So affirmations without identity change remain surface level, temporary, and fragile. Because if deep down you still see yourself as someone who must struggle, then even when money comes, you will unconsciously push it away through bad decisions, missed opportunities, fear-based actions, or self-sabotage, because the subconscious always works to protect identity, even if that identity is painful. Familiar struggle feels safer to the subconscious than unfamiliar abundance. And this is why people often earn more and then immediately lose it, attract opportunities and then destroy them, or get close to breakthrough and suddenly quit, because abundance threatens the old identity, and the mind reacts by restoring what feels normal. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that divine supply is always present, but man must become a new vessel to receive it, meaning money is not withheld from you, you are simply not matching it yet. And matching does not mean effort, stress, or hustle. It means alignment, inner agreement, and spiritual authority. When you identify as someone who is divinely supported, guided, and provided for, your actions change naturally, your decisions become clearer, your confidence becomes calm instead of desperate, your words carry conviction instead of need, and opportunities begin to recognize you, because the universe responds to certainty, not pleading. And this is why desperate energy repels money, while grounded certainty attracts it. Florence Scovel Shinn emphasized that man must speak the language of faith, not fear, because words are seeds and identity is soil, and whatever seeds you plant must match the soil to grow. If your soil is fear, seeds of abundance will not take root, but when you consciously choose to shift your identity from struggler to steward, from victim to co-creator, from hopeful to expectant, money has no choice but to follow, because identity is command, and the universe is obedient. This shift begins by observing your inner dialogue, noticing how you describe yourself, noticing how you speak about money, success, and others who are wealthy, because jealousy, resentment, or judgment toward wealth is a sign of identity conflict. It reveals that part of you believes wealth is separate from who you are. And Florence Scovel Shinn taught that whatever you condemn, you repel, and whatever you bless, you attract. So blessing wealth in others is an identity upgrade. It signals
signals to the subconscious that abundance is safe, allowed, and welcome. And another crucial teaching is that money follows service, not sacrifice, meaning when your identity is rooted in contribution rather than survival, money flows as a byproduct, because the universe rewards usefulness, clarity, and alignment, not exhaustion. And many people struggle because they identify as workers instead of creators, as followers instead of leaders, as receivers of permission instead of holders of authority. And shifting identity does not mean arrogance or ego. It means recognizing your divine origin. Florence Scovel Shinn repeatedly affirmed that man is made in the image and likeness of God, which means creativity, abundance, and authority are natural states, and denying them is spiritual amnesia, not humility. And when you reclaim this truth, money becomes less emotional, less dramatic, and less charged. It becomes a tool rather than a measure of self-worth, which paradoxically allows more of it to flow, because money avoids emotional chaos and flows toward clarity, stability, and purpose. And this is why those who are calm about money often have more of it, while those obsessed with it often struggle, because obsession signals lack-based identity, while calm expectation signals abundance-based identity. Florence Scovel Shinn also warned that man must not dig up his seeds, meaning once you claim a new identity, you must remain faithful to it, even when appearances contradict it, because identity precedes evidence, not the other way around. And many people quit affirming, believing, or aligning the moment results delay, which reveals they were waiting for proof before fully becoming. But spiritual law works in reverse. You become first, then life follows. And this is the hardest part for the struggling mind, because struggle is addicted to evidence, while faith operates on knowing, and knowing is an identity state, not an emotion. When you know you are supported, you stop panicking. When you know you are provided for, you stop rushing. And when you know money follows you, you stop chasing it. And this inner shift changes your timing, your tone, your posture, your presence, which then changes how people respond to you, how opportunities appear, and how doors open seemingly without force. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that right opportunities come under grace, not strain, and grace responds to identity alignment, not effort alone, which is why two people can put in equal effort and receive unequal results, because grace multiplies aligned effort and withholds from misaligned effort until identity catches up. And this is not punishment, it is protection, because receiving abundance without the identity to hold it often leads to loss, stress, or destruction. So the delay is often preparation, not denial. And when you finally accept a new identity, money begins to arrive in unexpected ways through ideas, connections, refunds, gifts, opportunities, inspired action, and divine timing. Because abundance is intelligent, not random, and it knows where it is welcome and where it will be respected, multiplied, and used wisely. Florence Scovel Shinn often said that man's supply comes through channels, but he must not limit God to one channel, meaning when identity shifts, you stop obsessing over one job, one person, or one outcome, and you trust the infinite, which expands your receiving capacity. And this trust is another identity marker, because those who identify as divinely supported do not cling, beg, or fear loss. They expect replacement, redirection, and increase. And this expectation is magnetic, because the universe responds to expectation with fulfillment. And this is why hope is weak, but expectancy is powerful. Hope waits, expectancy knows, and knowing is an identity. Ultimately, money follows identity because identity is vibration, agreement, and command combined. And until you change who you believe you are, what you allow yourself to receive, and what feels normal to you, money will continue to mirror your inner world with brutal honesty. But the moment you consciously choose a new self-concept, rooted in divine abundance, worthiness, clarity, and service, money begins to reorganize itself around you, not not because you forced it, but because you finally became someone it could follow. And this is the hidden reason you may still be struggling, not because you are broken, unlucky, or incapable, but because your identity has not yet been updated to match the abundance that is already seeking you. And once you understand this, struggle loses its power because you no longer fight money, you simply become the version of yourself that money naturally follows.